Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unicorn Light Tarot. Sincerely, hope everybody is doing amazingly well today. Thank you so much for joining us here today. If this is the first time you have clicked onto a video, welcome. Or if you have been here for a while, or even a new subscriber, welcome, welcome, one and all. So today we are going to do a really fun reading. We are going to do a personality reading, which major arcana in the tarot deck represents you. So that's what we will be doing today. So I thought, now you don't have to use these at all, but this will be pile 1, 2, and 3 if you just need any direction in choosing a pile. Now, I'm not going to read out the messages, but pile 1 is reflection, pile 2 is signs, and pile 3 is patience. Now, if you're just going to click into your intuition and work with that, absolutely wonderful. The more you are clicked into your own intuition and clicked into your own energy, the more these readings resonate with you. So if one pile doesn't resonate, feel free to choose another one, because obviously these are general readings, but there should be something here for you today. So if you don't feel as though you need these, you don't need any kind of guidance whatsoever, go you, that's wonderful. But if you do, then those are there. So reflections, signs, and patience, pile 1, 2, and 3. Let's get right into your reading. I'm going to take signs and patience aside for now, pile 2 and pile 3. So if you chose pile 1, reflection, I'm going to read out the message for you. See all aspects of yourself through the reflection of the one who mirrors your hidden self. So we're going to leave that there. And again, we are conducting a personality reading today, and we were finding out which major arcana represents you. So let's go ahead. I'm going to move our magic candle a little bit further back. So let's find out which major arcana represents you. Oh, the Empress. Look at that. I'm going to choose one more too as a backup here. And the Emperor. That's beautiful. So let's go with the Empress, and the idea of the reflection too. See all aspects of yourself through the reflection of the one who mirrors your hidden self. So we've got the Empress energy here coming out, and this absolutely statuesque, divine, feminine in all of her glory. And really this understanding of, so for your personality, this understanding of this accumulation of all the wisdom and the experience that you have, and how you're going to use it for the greater good. So this is a journey sort of not in battlement in any way, but to do with making friends with and learning to work with your ego, and how, you know, the ego can be rather limiting if we sort of let it run rampant. But if we integrate our ego, not battle it or try to succumb it, or try to overpower it in any way, see it as the enemy. But if we bring it in, we can actually learn from it. And this energy of the Empress here, of really bringing in all of this beautiful, like we said, this experiential energy that you have, this wisdom, not just from this lifetime, but from past lifetimes, this alchemy information, the way you can transmute energy, and the way that you can see things from different perspectives. Again, not from the limited point of view of the ego, which is just me, right? But at the same time, having these fabulous boundaries where you understand that it really is up to you to work with your own inner life, to create the life that you want. It's all about the reality that you're seeking out, the reality that you're creating for yourself, which means that you can shift your perception and change your reality in any given moment, and you have the power to do that. So it's sort of a moving into the idea of the understanding of the magician also too, but also taking the highest of the divine feminine, of all of the beautiful traits that she has, but also this sort of uncalculated but really very, very intense energy of not to be messed with either. And there's very little that they need to do. A look or just the energy holds sort of all of the badassery that you have, which is absolutely unbelievable. And we picked the Emperor too. Now, this is the mixture, or the way in which you work with the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And it doesn't have to be 50-50, as we said here before, but it's absolutely beautiful in the way that you do it. For a lot of you, there's a lot more divine masculine within you, as well as the Empress. So I'm not surprised that the Empress sort of hits home there, because there's a sort of a divine masculine energy to her at the same time, but she holds the wiles of the divine feminine. But she sort of has these secrets, and holds her energy sort of for herself, but at the same time is the most giving that she can be, but truly understands that when it comes back to her, she's the one that controls, or not necessarily controls, but she's the one that oversees her life, and she can change everything. She is magic. She knows how to do that. She also knows how to do that for other people. So I want to get you some more information here. I think that's just an outline of your personality. So for a lot of you who have just clicked on here, your not your personality is shifting, but traits of yours are shifting, insofar as like traits that were not necessarily hidden but not at the forefront before are now coming up at the forefront. And it's not exactly surprising for you, but if it is surprising, it's sort of interesting for you. This the way in which you're gathering your strength, you're really rooting right down to gather the strength that you've always had, but the strength is coming from these traits that are now coming up and coming front and center. So it's really interesting that the Empress came up for you now. So this reflection of who you have, who you are in this world, and the face that you put out there is something that you were in control of before. So you're a little bit of a chameleon, going in and out of different situations. But at the same time, there wasn't this sort of... there wasn't a really clear indication of who you were, in a way. And let's be clear about that. It's just because you were just so open to different aspects of self, and you could shift and change at any moment. And all of that is absolutely wonderful, but sometimes it takes away from your power. So you're really honing in on your power now, and you're rooting your power by, again, reaching deep back into those traits that you've always possessed and bringing them front and center. Now, these traits that are coming front and center, they have a lot to do with sort of mystery and magic. They have a lot to do with this competency of how to use your energy, how to wield your energy, who you are in the world, what it is that you want in the world, and also the sort of flexibility, this going with the flow of seeing what comes up. It's almost like the sort of the magician energy, again, coming up with the Empress, putting out your energy and then seeing what reflects back. So you're in this mode at the moment, which is really interesting, and having the reflection here, choosing the reflection motif is absolutely wonderful, of really honing in on your energy, and again putting it out into the universe and seeing what echoes back. And from there you can sort of tweak the perspective, or move forward, or decide that you want something else. This really is the time for you to pick and choose what it is that you want. This is not the time to go for something that you're not really, or for settling for anything, or moving into something that you're not 100% sure about. But at the same time, it's not about being 100% sure at the same time. It's about being open to these new experiences that you dreamed of once that you could have, but haven't quite gotten to yet. But now you're sort of on the verge, you can feel them. But now that you're on the verge and you can feel them, you're trying to figure out if you really want them. You see, you had an idea of what you wanted, and now you've gotten to this point. You're like, maybe I want something better. Maybe I want this. Maybe I want that. But you're working with this energy. You're working with your energy in a really beautiful way by, again, putting it out there, sort of testing the waters for a very clear way of putting it out there for clarity's sake. So you've got the 10 of Wands here, and you've got the Page of Wands. So you've got this energy here of using all of your experience, and also sort of cutting away at the experience and saying, a lot of people take the experience and use it for nuggets of wisdom, and then they can move forward. And all of that is absolutely wonderful. You've already done that, but you're using your experience to go through that experience. And what have I missed? what have I missed from this experience that I didn't quite gather for myself? What part of this that I did not really understand at the time that I can bring in to sort of full effect here to create this power? This is all about you creating power. It's almost like you're creating sort of a kingdom for yourself. But again, it's doing it by making friends with your ego. So it's not all about me, 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 me. But at the same time, it's very clearly about I, the self, which is very different to me. So this is all about going back and sort of reaching through some of the things, as you were rushing through life and trying to figure things out, you may have missed things. You may have missed nuggets of information that were really important to you. And again, these traits that you had before that were very powerful, that you dumbed down to sort of hide your power, to be accepted one way or another, that are coming up and center. It's these aspects, these parts of your traits that are going, yeah, but there's a little bit of me that, is hidden there, and it's a gem. It's nothing to do with healing or anything. You've already healed from this. It's just, aspects of your personality that are coming up front and center and saying, no, there's a little bit more that we want to go back and reveal here and bring up front and center. And this is going to be very powerful for us. And it's sort of like bringing your legacy. It's almost as if, regardless of age, of what you've done, like you're writing an autobiography in your mind of what is it that you've done and what is it that you've learned, the sort of the highlights, but also using that in a very specific way to be able to help other people, but also to sort of make everything that you've gone through make sense, if that makes any sense. So this is a way for you to sort of, again, it's all about wielding your power, but wielding your power in a very significant way. Now, everything that you've gone through in your life in one way or another has been to question your power. And this is all about, you've come here to sort of not resist the ego, but you've come here to sort of work outside of the ego. You've had sort of an ego time of it in past lives, and that's fine. We all work from the ego, and we're still working for it one way or another. But you're here to sort of work from beyond it, because that's pure freedom. Right? That's absolute pure freedom. And you're here really in this lifetime to understand pure freedom from different perspectives and then sort of conclude which freedom is the best for you, right? But it's all about freedom. It's all about being untethered, but at the same time, bringing yourself down to having these incredible connections with yourself, with other people, with the world. You want to connect in a new way, in a way that you haven't connected in past lives before. And this is all to do with how you utilize your power, how you make it work for you, but how you're sort of strong and soft at the same time, vulnerable, but also sort of very, very streamlined in your power. How you wield your sword, how you articulate yourself. And it's going to be from the divine feminine, even though there's aspects of the divine masculine, and you do have a lot of the divine masculine within. This is all about how you're going to wield your sword in the divine feminine, how you're going to articulate yourself from the divine feminine, but very much from the badassery of the divine feminine also. So let's get you a little bit more information, which is really interesting. So you're at the sort of plateau at the moment, as you're coming into feeling as though there's a new way for you to work in the world. And this is, you're sensing these sort of timelines or these different aspects of freedom. And also being really open to what it is that you can achieve in this lifetime. Absolutely. You've got number one, you've got beginnings here. So this is a new beginning like you've never had before, because you're sort of choosing it. Some of your other beginnings have been because there's been a natural end, or you've pushed the end, or you've said, I'm done. This is a little bit different, because this is almost like your new beginnings were actually starting a movie, or that you ended another movie and then you're going to begin another movie. But this is, you're in the middle of this movie and you're deciding how the movie ends. So this is an exciting aspect of power here. So clearing your energy, and this is what we were talking about before, the way in which you're working with your energy now. You're letting it dictate what you went through before, the traits that are coming up. You're letting that, that's aspects of your personality. You're letting those aspects of your personality shine in a way that you haven't before. And you're letting those aspects of those personalities to go back and really search your past in a way for little nuggets of information and just sort of little seedlings and wisdom that you've yet to pick up. And it's all these wisdoms, all these little wisdoms are about how powerful you are and how you can use this power. Now, it all sounds like sort of, because if we look at this from the collective perspective, there's a lot of us versus them. There's a lot of power. Nobody can have power over me, this, that, and the other. There's a lot of different timelines out there. So I want you to sort of not filter this through the collective right now, because all the collective is doing right now is everything's coming up, and it's all, a lot of it's ego based, and it's all been pulled out into the collective so we can see it all. But it doesn't necessarily mean that's true. It doesn't necessarily mean that any of this is real. It doesn't, it's just all the old coming up, right? So let's not filter it through sort of the ego of the external right now, of the collective. I want you to see this as something that's personal to you. So in this power, and this is the way that we should all sort of accumulate power, because it's power for ourselves and power for the collective, but it's also this frequency of power that takes you vibrationally higher, and also can work with you in a way that you can work very powerful magic within the collective to also clear the energy of what you've been through, but also clear and transmute the energy of all the ego, right? So let's see what else we have for you. So this one came out, communicate. I communicate from my heart and love surroundings and protects me. Also, I communicate from my heart and love surrounds and protects me. So this is also a way, as we talked about your articulation, it's not coming from the ego. This is all that you're doing now is not coming from the ego, because the way in which you're working now, it's coming from the heart, it's coming from the intuition. And it's coming from your own particular wisdom that is a catalyst for all of this. And because of that, that surrounds you and that protects you in the world. It also can allow you to celebrate, or has you celebrating in a way that you've never celebrated before. Also keeps your energy and your frequency clear to allow in so many of these opportunities that are coming in for you. So I also want to pick some of these too. So let's see what else. Cave, sanctuary, absolutely, and activation and wind. This is beautiful for you. So a lot of your life has been about, in a way, how to be safe and how to be safely you, when it is okay to show your true colors, when it isn't. And now that the Empress is in and around you, and the Emperor is there to really hold root and solidify that foundation, so you really have the chance to do whatever it is that you want. This is all about coming out of that cave, that sanctuary again, and really developing this side of your personality that is sort of a daredevil. You've had an aspect of your personality that's really open and daredevilish, but you haven't activated and integrated it fully into your everyday movement. You've used it when your back was up against the wall, or when it felt like it was right. But this is a time for you to come out of the way that you worked before and stand in your own power in sort of this new way. And again, work with the activation of not just the wind, but new energy coming in, but also not dumbing yourself down in any way again. And holding your own personality sort of forefront, which is something that you didn't do before. You've always given people the space to be who they are, but you've given them so much space that you sort of you dumbed yourself down to allow them to sort of grow in comparison to you. And then because if that's the way that you worked, you somehow subconsciously figured that you weren't as important as other people, or somehow you wouldn't get what you wanted. And that wasn't true at all. You just sort of used your energy. It's almost like you were conserving your energy for a time when you thought that you would need it, because there was always an aspect of you that was in sort of, we talk about surviving and thriving. So there was always one foot of you in the surviving aspect. So it was always in control of this aspect of you that was, if we really needed it, we have this reserve of personality, and we'll let it go when we needed to. But no matter what you did, you were always okay. Even if you had your ups and downs, even if you went through whatever it is that you went through that was quite painful, God love you, it was really, you never needed to go into that reserve. And now that reserve is ready to be sort of opened. And it's also ready to be activated with all of the other healing that you've been doing and all that other power and that emotionality that you've been working with. And of course, that vulnerability that you've really been coming in. And that's where a lot of your power has been. See, that vulnerability was too raw. It was still a wound when you were going back and healing. So you were healing in and around it. Now, that beauty of how you articulate yourself, it's from that beauty of that articulation, and you realize that gives you power and roots you into this ground. So this is a new way of using the power that you have and wielding it again outside of the ego, not just for yourself but for the collective too, and showing the collective a completely different sort of way of being. We've got a lot of ego coming out in the collective right now, with people convinced that they know what's going on and this, that, and the other. And it's, really at the end of the day, it's all an illusion. It's just a matter of which illusion you've attached your own personality to, right? But this is something that you've already been able to see and articulate. You already know it's an illusion. It's just a matter of bringing all the different versions of the illusion together, wielding them together, because you're all alchemists, and then transmuting it and then choosing which direction you want to go in. So this is an incredible way to be. And it's also your brand new beginning of how you communicate, how you move forward in the world, and how you utilize your energy. So a lot of you too, when you've had the ups and downs, you can go through these intense times where you have a lot of energy, and sometimes when you don't have energy. So your physical energy should sort of ride out and sort of get it together a little bit, where you're not constantly up and down. So, and also let's do one more. Let's do one more from the Major Arcana. We have your basis of the personality that's coming out now, but let's do one more. See what we have for you. Yeah, you have Temperance. You've done all of this active work. This is all about you sort of like really bringing everything together, but without a lot of activity, without no drama, just allowing all these beautiful pieces to come together and allowing and enjoying the journey, even if you're going back to sort of excavate and bringing out these nuggets of wisdom. It's almost like you're just watching it all play out. And just allowing that patience for yourself. Now, you do allow patience for other people, but you've never been particularly patient for yourself. So this is something that's really important for you to do, especially when there's something that you want, or especially when there's something that you want to heal and you feel as though you're on the verge of it. There's always this sort of rush at the end. That's a perfectly human trait. But there's something about this that's just, there doesn't need to be any rush. You're in the now, everything's going to be fine. And for the first time, you just have this sort of this knowing, this peace. And if you don't yet, you're coming into it. You're coming into this. And it's this temperance of sort of looking at it again from the macro version, from sort of everything and calibrating everything and sort of just letting it all go. It's almost like we said before, writing this story about how these compartments and how these components come together and bring in this great tale. But you're knowing that every aspect of your personality, everything that you've been through has brought you here. So it's this incredible journey of just sort of easing into it and seeing what happens. And in this sort of grace, that's the word that keeps coming to mind, in this grace that you have, or you've granted to yourself, that's when all the peace comes. And with the peace, that's when all the opportunities come in. So it's almost like you're just, you can sense something's coming in, but you're not in a rush to really pull anything in. You want to see the best of what's coming in, and you know that you have the power to attract it. So it's the first time that you're not rushing to anything, but you also know you've got your ducks in a row. You're taking that aligned action. You know what you're doing, and you're just sort of patiently waiting, but at the same time, you've got this sort of gorgeous smirk on your face, knowing that everything's going to be okay and you've got this. So that's what we have for you, Pile One. Beautiful, beautiful Pile One. We are sending so much love and support for exactly who you are and where you are. And of course, if you want a little extra magic in your life, I'm going to put down below in the description box the link. Check out what magic awaits you this holiday season. This is the reading I did just before this one. That's an excellent reading for this holiday season, just with all the energy that's going on right now. So you might get a little extra magic and a little extra support there. So I'm going to put the link down below if you have not checked it out. And of course, if you have not subscribed, we would love to have you. So feel free to subscribe, hit that like button and that bell icon so you never ever miss one of these gorgeous readings. All right, Pile One, you go be you beautiful Empress. Until we meet again, take care. Bye-bye. Okay, all you beautiful Pile Twos, we still have the magic candle in the background. Now, you may not have chosen this, but if you did, your card was signs. The universe has been gently nudging you forward by revealing to you signs and synchronicity. So we're going to leave that up there. And of course, we are finding out personality reading, which major arcana represents you. So it was very clear in Pile One, it represents them at this time. So this could be, let's see. So I'm sure this card will correspond in some way. So your first card is the Emperor. We already had that come up. I'm going to choose another one. Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so the Emperor is coming up for you. I chose the second one for the Wheel of Fortune. So the Emperor is coming up for you to understand again. So to really listen to the signs and understand the signs in the universe, but also to really click into that divine masculine, transmute that old energy and move forward in the world. There is something that you want to do, Pile Two, and it's not small. And it's almost like you've been waiting to do it. There's been a revolving door sort of in and around you, or a lift. I think you guys call them elevators. Yeah, up and down. So sometimes you feel as though you're getting to the floor that you want to. Sometimes you go down into the basement. Sometimes you come up. Or there's a revolving door where you can feel as though there's a way for you to go through and get to the other side of where you want to be. Now, some of you have been round this revolving door a couple of times. So you've never been able to sort of get out on the other side of it. So you don't really know what it looks like. But at the same time, when you look back on those times when you went round in the revolving door, there was an aspect of self that you realized you weren't quite ready for it. So you don't really harp on it in any way. But you're at that point where you've really moved into a new understanding of who you are. And what it is that you've always had the sort of divine masculine sensibility, but you've always been this sort of understated, for a lot of you, you've been this sort of understated beauty, right? And here's the thing. For some of you, it's a shyness, and for some of you, it's just this understated beauty. And when you walk into a room, there's an energy about you and people do take notice of you. There's a sort of a mysteriousness about you, and there's a gorgeousness, and you've been able to utilize that energy throughout your life one way or another. And there's definitely something extremely intriguing about you. Now, none of this will change. That's significant. That's part of you. Now, trying to use that energy to physically get to where you wanted to be proved to be a little bit difficult for you. But you're at that stage where you realize that there's another dynamic aspect of you coming in. Now, that other aspect of the mysterious aspect of you, don't dumb it down in any way. It's dynamic, but it's dynamic in a very specific way. It's dynamic to be used when you've already sort of made it, right? So it doesn't help you make it, really, because at the end of the day, you sort of dumb down your talents, and you haven't really put necessarily, with a little real talk, your best foot forward. So it's not that you're not brilliant at what you do. And it's not that you expect the universe to see that without you doing any work. It's just that, there was an aspect of you with this divine masculine of actually activating and moving into a way that you solidify that action and make it work for you. So that's another aspect of your personality that you're coming into. Now, for some of you, it feels a little strange because it feels a little arrogant, because there are many things that you are appalled to, but you are not arrogant in any way, shape, or form. If anybody gives you a compliment, most of you will deflect it. We're going to ask you not to do that anymore. When somebody gives you a compliment, just say thank you. Just say thank you, that's it. But in the past, you would have deflected it. So there was a sort of a wallflower aspect to you, but at the same time, there was this raging energy of who you were, right? So that wallflower is not exactly the right way of really describing you, but there was an aspect of you that did sort of dumb yourself down, but in a very different way to pile one. So, and it wasn't this arrogance of, I'm shy, so everything will just happen for me. It wasn't like that. But this is you coming into a new era of putting your energy first, of saying, no, this is what I want and I'm going to do it. This is it. This is how I am. I'm worthy of it. I'm going to do it. Now, you didn't think that you weren't worthy of it before, but you weren't sure how to go about sort of going and getting it, about putting your actual energy out there. So, when you've gotten things before, you've sort of eased them to you in this really sort of beautiful way. Not all of you will like spiders, but the way in which they sort of work and the way in which they move, they sort of freak people out, but there's sort of a gorgeousness to them, right? You have a lot of spider energy. You have a lot of that energy around you, not to freak you out, but it's just that you're gorgeous in a way. Not everybody gets you, but you're very powerful. And the way that you work doesn't really understand. I mean, they make their webs with their butts, right? So the way in which you work in the world is a little bit different. Now, you can still work that way in the world. And the way in which you've worked has not in any way, it's not been terrible in any way. It's been wonderful. But you're ready to level up in a way that requires sort of a new way of tapping into your gifts. And it also is a way of supporting who you are and taking it to the next level. So all you're doing is you're taking that divine masculine energy of who you already are, and you're sort of you're putting it on show a little bit. You're not used to putting it on show. You like to be sort of behind stage or doing things sort of in your own way. And even if you are front and center stage, because some of you do have that energy to you, you'll do it in a particular way, again, on your own terms, but it doesn't always have to be like that. You'll come back off the stage, you'll do things, behind stage, and then you'll go back on and you'll do this. So there's aspects of you, but you're not constantly on like some people are. So this is a new way of using your energy, and it's extremely powerful. And what it does, it takes all of that mysteriousness that you have and really just elevates it to the next level. And also it gives you this newfound confidence from all the healing that you've been doing, which is absolutely wonderful. And it puts you in a position to get what you want. You're going to have to, and that's what you're doing, to really acknowledge your strengths and your beauties. Yeah. And this is what's going to help you solidify your future. So yeah, it's absolute success. So in the past, you see, the problem with you, and it is a little bit of a problem, is that you're good at a lot of things. So, trying to figure out what it is that you wanted to do based on what you were good at actually led you off in different directions. So that was part of it too, trying to figure out. And then you didn't want to put yourself front and center just in case you didn't want to do that. Now, whatever it is that you figured out, most of you have figured out for the most part what it is that you want to do, or figured out a way to put it all together and move in. So move forward. A lot of you have clicked into your blueprint. You have a much clearer idea of the direction that you're heading in, but at the same time, you're leaving it open, which is absolutely wonderful. But there was flights of fancy before. There were so many different things going on. And because of the way that you were in the world with the mysteriousness and the moving and all of that beautiful stuff, that it could be difficult for you to choose something. And sometimes you just said, F it, I'm not going to choose any of them. I'm going to go off and do this right now. And then you did that for a while, and it worked for a while, and it was totally fine because it was very different and gave you a break from everything else that you were trying to take off or trying to think about doing in the future. But then that was not really clicked into your blueprint or associated directly with your blueprint. So you fell out of that pretty quickly. So this is a way of sort of distinguishing between the flights of fancy, figuring out what it is that you want to do, honing in on those beautiful, mysterious personality traits, but bringing them front and center and saying, no, I know this is what I want to do now, right? And also the other thing is trying to figure out, some of you have had a really hard time trying to figure out what it is, what your blueprint really was. because you were so good at many different things, and at the same time, even though you had an idea, if somebody asked you to write a paragraph about just in general what you were here to do, you had an idea of it, but at the same time, you didn't have the inclination to click into it. You weren't activated into your blueprint yet. A lot of you have been activated into your blueprint only in the last maybe 5 years, and possibly really full on in the last 2 years or 18 months. So this is a way for you to really solidify all those beautiful aspects, again, of your personality, but taking them in a new way. And it might feel a little bit different for some of you, maybe even bordering on uncomfortable, because you have a certain amount of confidence, but it's very understated and it's really fun. And again, you have that, but this is more a different kind of confidence. This is more outward confidence. This is a Leo kind of confidence. And you might have Leo in your chart clicking in right now. This is a divine masculine, like really stepping up and saying, no, this is it. I'm doing this. And this is something that other people have done. And in some people, you find it quite attractive. And some people, you find it quite unattractive if it's linked with the ego. But it's not linked with the ego for you. But it's going to cause you your success. It's going to bring you your success as long as you are also tuned in, and you are. So we have no doubts about this. Tuned in with your divine feminine too. So you're listening to your heart, you're listening to your intuition, and watching those synchronicities. Now, for some of you, this is a message, a very important message for some of you. Some of you over-listen to those synchronicities, right? Because when you had those flights of fancy and you felt like you were going off and your arms were flailing all over the place and you're like, I need some kind of direction. You saw direction everywhere, right? So this is a sign. Sometimes we can overdo the damn signage, right? So in the past, you've overdone it. So when you really clicked into your heart, you really clicked into your intuition, then you absolutely do click into the relevant signs, because, the signs from the universe are absolutely there. And you can feel the difference between seeing them everywhere, because sometimes you saw them everywhere and then that confused you more a little bit. So it's not an overthinking. This situation is not about overthinking. It's about allowing yourself to really inhabit your body. And this is what this is all about. And I talk about this in my podcast too. If you haven't checked it out, it's in the link below, about really possessing your body. All right. I know Hollywood uses that in the sort of demonic sense, but it's not. It's really possessing your own body and your own power. And this is a way that you're doing this actively with the divine masculine. But you're doing it very specific to the way that you are, and also honing in on the way you are. So you've got wisdom. All I truly need is within me. And absolutely that's it. It's choosing whatever it is that you want to do. And again, this activation that you've had in the last 5 years, but again, 18 months to 2 years, is really activated the way forward. But the way in which you utilize your wisdom and pull it forward, and even the way you stand, the way you talk, the way that you are in the world, the way in which you possess your energy in the world. Again, you still have the back burner, all that mystery and all that gorgeousness, right? But also, you're less of an observer now. You will always have that observer sense of you, but you're much more about partaking and moving in, and all of the sort of more action oriented too. So shifting the world a little bit and bringing it to you, right? Before, you like to sort of watch and see how things play out. And for you, with the flights of fancy, there were so many other things going on. You would always land on your feet, and that's wonderful. But now you're going in a sort of a very specific direction. Now it'll take you off and branch you off in different ways, because you're the sort of person that loves to do many different things. You have divine support, without a doubt. You love to do different things, otherwise you get quite bored. And again, you're very good at everything, and you were given these traits to be able to utilize in this world, so you can utilize them all together, bring them all together in some ways, and sometimes in sort of strange ways that seemingly don't really work together, but you'll be able to make them work. You have that sort of uniqueness. Everybody is unique, but you have that real uniqueness and that authenticity. Now, really delving into your authenticity really allows you to click into your authenticity with this confidence that you're now prepared to really click into. It's a very exciting time for you, and it provides sort of a new beginning for you in a way, a new beginning for your energy to move in the way before. Yes, ceremony, invocation, absolutely. This is a new way for you to be in the world. It's also a new way for you to honor your divine feminine, your wisdom, all of that alchemy that you brought in, all of that magic, all of that wisdom, again, all of that mystery that you brought with you. It's almost like this new container of the divine masculine is really solidifying that. And with the confidence, you can get bigger and brighter success being out there doing what you want to do by really honoring that aspect of you. Whereas before, when people were in and around you, they definitely sensed your power and your beauty, but this is definitely a new way of bringing it forward and bringing it into new ways, new people, new groups of people seeing you. Now, not everybody is necessarily going to appreciate exactly who you are because you're powerful and, you know, they might be triggered by it. But there's one thing that we can say without a shadow of a doubt: every single person will sense your power and your confidence, right? So regardless, and this is something that you've had before that was understated. And there's an elegance to you too. There's a sort of a regalness to you in a way. And you're not going to lose that. And some of you will always, you know, if I'm pushed like this and I push like that, it's arrogant. I don't want to be like that, you know. But the way, so a lot of you didn't do that. A lot of you didn't push in that way, or a lot of you didn't show your confidence in that way. That's fine. It's neither here nor there. Whatever choices you made were right for you at the time. But this is a way that you finally found a way to properly meld your confidence. So when you move forward, you do have that confidence. You are moving forward. You are action orientated in a way that you haven't been before. But you still have that mystery and that beautiful gorgeousness that comes along with it. But this is a new way of working for you that's guaranteed success, but it's guaranteed success on the heels of everything that you've already done. Again, you're not reinventing yourself. You're just allowing another aspect of yourself to come front and center. And in that way, you've got something in common with Pile 1, but very different energy. To guarantee your success. And you're also allowing all aspects of yourself to be seen. This is a way of you saying, you know, when you could kid yourself, Pile 2, but you know, there was an aspect of you that's, you know, if you're understated, you're protected, right? This is a way for you to really have that divine confidence of saying, I don't need to be protected anymore. I already know I'm protected. I don't need to constantly protect myself. That mystery is beautiful, but if nobody sees that mystery, or only some people come across it, it doesn't help me on what it is that I want to do. And you are here in this lifetime, Pile 2, to be seen, to be integrated into the world, to have newfound connections in ways that you haven't had before. This is your way of doing it, and this is your way, and you're absolutely able to do it. You've always been able to do it. And this is a way for you to sort of be in the limelight in a way that you haven't really allowed yourself before. But don't worry, you're not constantly going to be on, da-da, that's not you. You're going to be able to come back and do whatever it is that you want to do. You've strategically chosen what it is that you want to do in this lifetime to make sure that you do have that peace, you do have that sanctuary, you do have that honoring of yourself. You've not come this far to put yourself in a position where you're like, oh, you know what? I don't like this. I thought I would like it, but I don't like it. You know that you will like it, and you are doing this on your own terms. It's just bringing in a newfound version of yourself that honestly is really excited to be front and center, and is absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, able to help support you and keep that foundation strong as you move forward. If anything, it'll keep you rock solid as you move forward and really insulate that beautiful aspect of that personality that you have with the mystery and the gorgeousness, right? So let's see, I want to choose, let's go into, let's get you some tarot. Let's see, this is just the regular tarot. There's no major arcana in here. I want to choose a couple of these, see if we can get you some more information. So you've got the Five of Wands, represents your past and how you did things before. And there's an ease of this too. Yeah, that passion is ready to come out. The passion and the knowledge coming out. Nine of Pentacles, cannot go wrong with that. And Two of Cups. Yeah, absolutely gorgeousness. So this has been quite a journey for you. You know, doing things the way that you did before was not necessary. It absolutely worked for you. And it also helped you solidify the deepest parts of your wounds of the divine feminine. So you did keep yourself out of it for a while. But also there was also a lot of inner fighting too. There was a part of you that was fighting to be a little more aggressive, if you want to call it that way, or at that time it would have been seen as more aggressive. Now it's just in line with your personality, right? You're just a go-getter, right? Go-getter. You did go get what you wanted to before. You have that power, you have that passion, and when you want something, get out of the way because you're going to get it. But this is a way of integrating it in a way that you're not beating yourself up, and you're also not fighting with the external too, trying to be seen for the way that you want to be seen. That was a lot to do with it too. You pulled away from that because you wanted to be seen or understood in a certain way. And then as you did this healing, you realized that only people who actually can understand who you are going to see you in the way that you wanted to be seen, and it didn't matter anymore. But the most important thing is that you saw yourself in the way that you wanted to be seen. It no longer mattered to the external anymore. So you're able to take that extra energy and that passion and really move forward in a very sort of singular fashion and say, this is what it is that I want. And that's when you got rooted into, I'm here for a reason. You're also here to help people with words. Some of you are even singers, songwriters, but it's with words, the way in which you articulate yourself, the way in which you actually reach out to people, however you reach out to them, is full of mystery, but also full of ways of the past, the way in which, the words that you use, the speech, it's all you can conjure up worlds in your mind and in your head and on the paper, whatever you do, right? Storyteller in some way. So this you can absolutely have a huge amount of success with, and actually people will bring you into their projects to be able to help them do that, whether you are working on somebody else's project to elevate it, whether you're working within a workshop situation, whatever it is that you want to do. But it's all about bringing in that soul family and finding that connection again, which is something that you've had experience with. You found aspects of your soul family, but being really, really connected to them and bringing them in a large way. This is something that's coming in and around you, something that's in the collective that's bringing in right now. A lot of soul family members are coming together, or they will do in the year 2022 coming up. And again, love is there for you too, or intimate connections, past life connections that are beyond soul contract connections that you've had a lot in this lifetime because you had a lot of karma. So a lot of contracts, we had to work through those contracts, and you felt deeply rooted to these people, but there were a lot of ups and downs, and there were a lot of, this is, sort of soul family coming in, soulmates coming in, people who are worthy of you, people who can support you in many different ways, people who can absolutely see you and encourage you to, and not be intimidated by your power. Because you do have that beautiful divine feminine. This has got nothing to do with gender, whether you're male or female, but that divine feminine of that receptivity of really understanding how people are. But at the same time having that ultimate confidence. And the one thing that you do have, and you've always had, is like if something doesn't work out, you really do get on with it. You get on with it and you just say, you know what, F it. It didn't work out. Let's just do it. You might wallow for a little bit, but then you get up and you do it. You've always sort of had that sort of get up and go, moving. You've not always taken the time to step into the wounds that's caused, where you didn't feel safe, you didn't feel seen. You didn't deal with that disappointment, but all of that has been rendered. You've worked through it. But you did get up right afterwards and you did move on. And this is something, you've got that tenacity. You've always had that throughout your life. So that now linked and integrated with this beautiful grounded version of this divine masculine and this confidence. But this confidence that you've earned also, because you do have this wisdom. You do know what you're doing. You're brilliant at what you do. It's just a matter of taking it to the next step. And again, you're in control with this energy of where you go, because with the Wheel of Fortune, it can go 180. It can go one way or another. It's Wheel of Fortune can go lucky. It can be, supposedly unlucky. But this is the way, this is what you understand. And this is something that you're really interested in and you find kind of funny. The way in which you control your destiny, or the way in which you work with your destiny by aligned action and not control. So this is something that you're not afraid of anymore, of things going wrong. If it's not for you, it's not for you. You'll move on to something else. But this newfound freedom of moving in a direction and being really clicked into your blueprint in a really sort of matter-of-fact way, which is something that you were always capable of and now ready to do. Again, watching for those signs, but not over-focusing on them, because your intuition will tell you exactly where you need to be. So you're not confirming everything with the external. You're confirming everything with the internal. But again, look for the signs. Definitely look for all of that beautiful support that you're getting in and around you. Well done. Good stuff. That's what we have for you. Good stuff. That's what we have for you, pal, too. Sending you so much love and support for exactly who you are. Now, if you want a little extra magic, I'm going to leave the link down below. Do check out what magic awaits you this holiday season. That is the reading I did just before this one. There's some nuggets of wisdom in there, too. About the collective that's going on right now. So if you want a little extra help, support, activation, and you haven't checked that out, it's going to be down below. And of course, the new podcast is out too. So all of these are brilliant ways of supporting you for absolutely free. Go out and get them if you need to. And of course, if you are here and you have not subscribed, we would love to have you. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and that like button also, and the bell icon so you never miss one of these readings. All right, pal, two, go be you. You got the world eaten out of your hands. So go be you and enjoy every moment of it because you absolutely deserve it. Until we meet again, pal two, take care. Bye. Okay, all you beautiful pal three, you may not have chosen anything, but if you did choose this card, patience, be patient and allow destiny to unfold as at its own pace. So this provides a little bit of extra information for your reading. And the reading is today a personality reading, which major arcana represents you. So it's been quite obvious with Pal 1 and Pal 2, at least thus far, that the personality is who you are in this present moment versus who you were before. So let's get right into your reading. We will start off with, of course, your personality. Oh, that popped out. Wheel of Fortune. That's wonderful. That's come up, I think, in all of them. All right, this one popped out. Look at this. The World. Loving that. Well, something's moving forward, but still feeling as though we need that major arcana. This is solidifying where you are right now, which is fantastic. But let's see. Ooh. Okay, so you've got the Hangman. So I also want to choose... One's coming in. You've got Temperance. Okay. So you are in a position here to do what it is that you want. So the Hangman is you, and then you've got the things going on. And of course, you've got Patience here, and you've got Temperance. My goodness. All right, pal 3. You got message loud and clear. So you are in a position to move off in any direction that you want. And things are slowing down a little bit for you, which might be a little bit frustrating right now. But we want to remind you that the Hanged Man or the Hanged One here, even though that represents you, and we're just going to give you a little real talk here, this is of your making, though. You can bring yourself down at any time. It's up to you to choose what it is that you want. And it's up to you to take the time to make sure that you realize that you're in line to get it. So there's an aspect of you that's always sort of go, 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 go. You're willing to do the work. You're a very hard worker. But at the same time, there's a little bit that might be lacking sometimes when it comes to stepping up in understanding that you deserve what it is that you want. So it's almost like it feels as though sometimes you feel as though, you've been on the verge of sort of breaking big, but then you'll pull yourself back, right? And this is various different degrees of this. It's almost like some of you are, or a lot of you are afraid of the success. And the reason why you're sort of afraid of the responsibility of the success, what happens next. You see, for you, you love the idea of going off and doing this and doing this and this and this. Commitment for you is has been quite difficult one way or another. And it's not that you're a commitment phobe. You're not. You love life. You love what you're doing. You love the people. You do commit. When you do commit, you commit absolutely wholeheartedly. There's areas in your life when you've committed and you are absolutely, without a doubt, wholeheartedly. But you don't commit every day to everything. And you just want to leave things open and see where they lie. So for those of you who are sitting out there going, oh, that's not really me, check in for a second. Because it's just a matter of making sure that you're tethered or that you're grounded into your body, that you're grounded into this existence. Because some of you are ready to sort of float away and just sort of go off and do whatever you want to do. It's been very difficult to sort of remain in your body. and choose something. Again, when you do choose something, you choose it with all of your heart, and you absolutely have that compassion for yourself and that beauty. But believing in yourself that you're here to do something, and believing you absolutely do know that you're talented. It's really not that. It's just having the patience and the beauty and the understanding to be able to realize that you were the one that were holding the cards all along. It's almost like you've been waiting for signs or waiting for the ducks to have your ducks in a row. And the time has come many times, and you could have been in different places. And it doesn't matter. This is not about going back and going, oh, I could have done that. I messed it up. You didn't. In many ways that you weren't ready before, and you're ready now. But there are many different values, and there are many different sort of avenues to success that you could have had. And in this way, you have a little bit in common with Pal 2, a little bit of a different energy. But if things didn't work out, it's because your energy was not 100% behind it. So it's about you choosing something. And it's really important that you choose right now, because there's something that you want. And if there's not enough energy behind it, it's because you're not putting in the energy behind it. It's because you're waiting for other things to come in, the external alliances to happen, or whatever it is. Bringing that energy back to yourself and realizing that you create the energy from within, and then you pull it out and push it out into the external, into the universe. The universe reacts to that energy, mirrors or echoes that energy, and brings in what it is that you need. So at any time, you can take yourself down off of this branch here, and you have everything that you need. Now, there's some of you who are out there that are like, well, I still need to do this and I still need to do that. There's really nothing else for you to do. It's this, you have this sort of idea of success. And again, success is something to be earned, and success is almost something that's always out of reach. And this is something that you don't necessarily believe, but you may have picked up on. It could have been in your DNA or being in and around you as you grew up. It's something that you achieve, and when you achieve it, then it's done. So there's a part of you that never wanted to achieve success on the terms that you feel success is owed to you, and it is, because you've done due diligence and you've been working on this for many, many past lives, so you're owed this limelight in this lifetime. But you feel as though if you create it, then it's done, and then you never really want to be done. So it's not like you don't think that you can get it, or you don't, and then the responsibility of it when you're there. So this is not really about that. It's coming back to the game of life. Life is but a game, and this, you understand this. Intrinsically, you understand this, so you shouldn't have a problem with this at all. Life is a game, and you don't really ever get anywhere. It's just, that sounds really awful, right? You never get anywhere. But there's various different degrees of things that you may achieve, your ups and downs and this, that, and the other, and layers of success. But when you get to a certain point, you move off in a different direction. You move off in a different direction. There's never really an arriving point. Now, some people feel as though they've arrived, and that's great, but they still reach new heights. And you're the sort of person that always challenges yourself. So, and you'll always be like this. You'll always be inquisitive. You'll always be shifting your point of view. You'll always be open and changing and probably change what you do for a living too. That's something that you've done. It's sort of something that you're able to do. Like later on in life, you'll decide to do a PhD or do this, that, and the other. This is the sort of person that you are. You'll never really arrive. So the fear of arriving sort of kept sort of success at bay. And it was never because you weren't good at what you did, or even that you weren't even ready. You were ready. But now you're ready, and you've gotten to the point where you can get a little frustrated. And you've gotten frustrated in the past, but you can get a little frustrated. But hopefully we're shining some light on why that happens. Now, have some patience and be able to see everything for what it is. Sometimes you can get really linked into what you're doing. You can over-focus, hyper-focus on everything. And then that practical mind comes in and sort of like becomes the devil for you, right? So stick with your intuition and keep that sort of peace in and around you. Keep that beautiful energy of life is a joy. Life is a game. There's an illusionary aspect to it too. So what is really achieving And that's the thing, you don't even really believe in the essence of achieving when it comes to the 3D world. So there's so many different ways. You're so complex in some ways because a lot of the things that you sort of live by, you don't even believe, and yet you still sort of live by them. So yeah, the purification of, again, being very, very clear about this understanding that certain aspects of like society that, you know, we're all programmed to a certain degree, but you've realized from a very young age, right, what it is that you don't want, right? And then own up to the fact that you don't want it. Whereas before it was quite painful for you because you realized you didn't want it, but then everybody was sort of programmed and we're all living in this sort of 3D reality at some point to some degree. And it didn't really help that everything that everybody else wanted, you sort of didn't want. So now everybody's waking up. We're seeing a lot, everything's sort of plummeted, right? But everything's like out there in the 3D world. Everything's come up sort of for review, but people are waking up. You know, they're waking up. Everything's coming out. So it's a little bit chaotic, but people are waking up, and they're waking up to the way in which we put up with things, the way in which we've been programmed to see things. So, you know, as you move forward now, there's a whole army of people who totally understand and they want to live the sort of life and believe in the life that you have. They're out there. It's tangible now, right? So it's being honest and stepping into this responsibility and this authority within you to say, all right, now I didn't want this before, but there's an aspect of something that I do want, but I'm going to shift it and create it and make it mine. And I'm going to do it, and I can do it. Right, it's before you didn't want the success because it might have looked a little bit different, because you wouldn't have felt as though you would have been in the driving range, you know, doing it. You would have sort of clicked into the 3D existence of what it means to be successful, and then you would be trapped. So of course you stayed out of it. But the 3D world is crumbling, right? A lot of it is kind of still there. A lot of people think, you know, believe that they're transcending it, but they're actually still perpetuating, but they're waking up from the element of it. So it's moving, it's shifting, it's just everything's like kind of crumbling apart. It's actually very exciting. So everybody is awakening up to it, and the way in which they're doing it is all completely individual. But you're now in this world that success means something very different, and you can mold success. You can mold success to the way that you want to see it now, without having to compromise. Now, there are many different ways that you are willing to compromise in your life, but when it comes to success, you're not willing to compromise at all. You want things the way that you want them, and they may not have been delivered the way in which you wanted them before, and now they can be, and that's perfectly reasonable. In fact, this is perfect timing for you, Pile 3, to step into this beautiful energy. Now, some of your family, even friends, they absolutely love you. They're probably in awe of you a little bit, but some of them, you may have had this energy around you. Some of them may be really quite sort of, I think they've grown out of being worried about you, but they might be sort of in awe, but at the same time, like, not really understand how you can sort of float through life, how you can, do what you do, like really not kind of understand how you do it, because, you are successful the way in which you work. You want a different kind of success, and you want to level up, and you'll get there. But even throughout your life, you've still been successful and managed to land on your feet. And that's been it's been a journey that other people have not really understood, because they've done things in a very specific way that you have not. So you've always been working outside of the system one way or another, but you realize that there were certain elements that you wanted that might have to click into that version of society that you didn't want. So it's really interesting to see, these people turn around, I embrace love and all of my life. Yeah, embracing every aspect of yourself, and then saying, this is kind of divine timing. This is my time to step up and do things my way. But, you've always compromised in a way and made people feel sort of very comfortable around you. And in that way, they can understand, like with your personality and your beauty, how you sort of do get by. You're very charming and all sorts of different things, right? But this is the first time that you don't want to compromise. I want what I want. And it doesn't mean that you're not flexible and you're not open. Let's be very clear. How it comes to you, whatever. This is not about control. You're taking the divine action, the aligned action. That's what you want. That's not what we're talking about. But when it comes to success, you want it on your own terms. You don't want to have to click back into the version of success of the 3D world. You don't want that. And you do not have to do that anymore. You have the world at your fingertips. You've molded the world in your own fabric, in your own version of reality, and you've made it tangible. You're now bringing that out and making that tangible. You really do understand from absolutely the seed. I wish a lot more people would listen to you, that you are creating your external reality. You've really understood that. So while a lot of people were sort of fighting against themselves or fighting against other people, you went within. You took that time to go absolutely within, and then you stopped fighting with yourself. You started listening. You started listening at yourself. You started listening at what you needed to hear. And then you started healing. You started to really work within yourself. And then you started to see that everything on the external started shifting, right? And then you started seeing that the 3D world was actually shifting for you in a way that was so tangible. You could feel that you could get what you wanted exactly the way that you wanted it, right? And then after a while, the 3D world just didn't exist anymore. Whereas everybody else, well, a lot of people out there are still fighting the 3D world, right? But they've created that reality. They've absolutely created it, right? Doesn't mean they're not awake. Doesn't mean that they're not activated, but they're still fighting it. They're still stuck in they're still in a loop. So this is something that you realized, and you went in and you pulled apart that loop. And that gave you the power. That gave you the power to come out of this loop and then actually finally see the 3D crumble in a way that cannot be activated again, which means you don't need to live in it anymore. So that's absolutely incredible. And to be very clear, whatever people choose to do and not do, that is their own personal private business of how they work within reality and how they, because everybody's working with the tools that they have based on past lives that they've lived and the level of consciousness that they're in. So they are doing their very best. Go be you, no matter who or what that is. So you've got this real understanding of this. You're changing the way you're really changing the way you sort of have built your foundation. So you sort of built your foundation before for a lot of you to keep people out. Now, here's the reason why you did it. You weren't afraid of people. You love people. You kept people out because a lot of the people actually represented the 3D world. So you wanted to keep people out because you were so open. You didn't want to get stuck back into that, right? So now you're building this new foundation, which is flexible and it's open. And now that it's solidified within you and you've activated something within you because you've done all the work from the inner, without fighting on the external, now you realize that you can let people in and let them, whatever they believe and think and feel, that's totally up to them, right? It doesn't even need to be discussed. That's your own personal private crap, right? So, but you're not going to be swayed by any of it anymore. And even if these people are bringing in still remnants of the 3D, even though it's crumbling, still carrying on or bringing up the 3D or carrying the 3D with them, it doesn't affect you anymore because it doesn't exist within you anymore. Whereas before you still had that fragmentation living on the outskirts of the 3D world, but you still had that, you were still embodied by some of those programs. So this is a new way for you to build that foundation for yourself and sort of move in a new direction. So there's a divine timing aspect to being where you are right now and also seeing how everything is playing out in the collective, which is really interesting for you because it's playing out. Yeah, you've got belonging. Power 1 got this too, belonging. The way in which you belong to the world, or the way in which you choose to belong to the world. You're choosing to belong to the world now. You're making that choice, but you're choosing the world that you want to belong to. You didn't choose that world before. A lot of people would have said, you're not very grounded, but you didn't want to be grounded. You purposely didn't want to be grounded into a world that you just did not believe in. Now you can choose to belong. Now you can ground yourself into this new world, regardless of what other people are holding on to and regardless of the world that they are living in, because there are several different timelines playing out right now. It doesn't matter. That doesn't affect you anymore. In fact, you can hold more space for those folks on different timelines and just, honor exactly where they are in a way, whereas before you were kind of on guard. You wanted to make sure you got to protect your energy. You're not going to get pulled back into that world. And sometimes you were aware of it and sometimes it was subconscious, but people were constantly pulling you back into the world that you didn't want. and you've got that positive outlook now. So, you know, you had a lot of ups and downs, especially with some of you with depression coming in and out of whatever, because there was a part of you. Now, this may only be for some of you, but, you know, I know this has been really tough for the last 2 years, right? Globally, you know, that saying that we're all in the same storm. Not everybody's in the same boat. You know, everybody's had varying different degrees of how this has affected them. But in one way or another, it's affected you, right? Globally, we can all say that. But, you know, a lot of people have, you know, the end of days, this, that, and the other. That's their own personal way of seeing it. But your way was like, I needed this. You know, the world was going in this direction. It's not that you wanted it, or, you know, and all of the stuff that's going on. There's, you know, obviously there's negative stuff, and God love people who have, you know, not made it through this, you know, holding so much strength and beauty for them. But at the same time, because it is happening, there was something within you that said, I can do with it. I can actually do this. I can do something with this energy. There's something here that you were activated into this energy, and it clicked into you and said, this is the time in your life where you can do something. And again, you did not concentrate on that external. You did not waste your time doing that. You went right into the internal, and you said, this is a once in a lifetime chance in this lifetime to get my shit together, to really do this and not to project anymore, to actually be completely conscious of my own energy. There's something in here. I'm going to take advantage of this. And it was not easy work. For a lot of you, it's not easy work. For some of you, it was very difficult. You were not as far along as you thought you were, right? When you got into it. You thought you were further along than you didn't. But at the same time, you know, it didn't pull you under. There were things that you needed to do. So it wasn't like, you know, this roller coaster of bringing up old wounds or whatever. But there was a lot that you had to dig through, and you were able to do it. But you used this time for your advantage. And you said to yourself, I'm not going to mess this up. I'm not going to mess up this time in history. This is my time to do it. And there was a divine aspect of this activation and you clicked into it, and you understood sort of the bigger picture from the very, very beginning, which sort of helped you remain a little bit open and not get sucked into sort of like the underbelly of going off in this, that, and that direction, which takes up all of your energy, right? And takes up all of your power. So you purposely made sure that you didn't go in that direction. And that was a beautiful way for you to do that. Now and this really, it's paying off for you in such a beautiful way. Now you feel as though you're coming out on the other side of this. And again, there's this aspect of this incredible divine timing where you're ready to create completely on your own terms in a way that you've never been able to do before, and hold light for others who are honestly just behind you. People are sort of activating at incredible levels. They're going through these ups and downs, but really, really quickly. It's incredible to see. Actually, let's see. I want to do one more here. This one's calling out. So let's see what we've got here under the world. Yeah, you've got the 10 of Wands. I think that came up with, you've got the 8 of Pentacles. That's so funny. I think it was the 9 of Pentacles and the 10 of Wands came up in pile 2. So you've got like everything is fine. Yeah, and you've got the 3 of Swords. So you've got this, again, taking all of your wounds and looking at it from the interior and taking complete responsibility for your energy and understanding that power behind it, the active power behind it, and understanding that you've absolutely got this, and really being able to see through every aspect of the illusion. There's so many different illusionary aspects that's going on right now, right? And not being dragged into any of them, which is really important. Really understanding your belonging into the world that you have chosen. You're creating the world even as we speak. You've been creating it from a very, very young child. So this is not a world that's just, been activated in the last, 2 years, 18 months, not at all. This is something that you've been primed and moving through, and you've been creating this beautiful world that you want to live in. And you're not carrying the energy of the world anymore. You're not carrying the energy of the collective. You've actually let it all go. And this is all from the interior work that you've done. Being completely honest about your energy and your beauty. And also working in tandem with your ego. Because here's what's going on. With your ego, there is like this beautiful present working with your ego, right? And we've said this, I think, in pile 2, or maybe it was pile 1. There's this sort of holy warfare. We're going to fight the ego. We're going to kill the ego. We don't need to do any of that stuff. And you can work with your ego, but with you, there's actually there's gold with working with your ego. There's gifts that your ego can give you. There's a beauty of working with your ego, which is not something that the 3D world really understands how to do. And that's why all the ego stuff is coming up in the collective right now, because nobody knows how to really work with the ego. And it's been so entrenched that all of it's coming up and we can see it. It's oozing, it's creating chaos. It's actually a beautiful thing because we can see it all come up. As it comes up, it oozes up. We have the chance to be able to look at it. And for those of us who are interested in making real change, we get the chance to look at it and go, oh, that doesn't look so good. All right, what can we do about this? And then work out different ways in and around how to work with the ego, right? And you can work with the ego. There's something about clicking into whatever it is that you're going to do next. And a lot of you have a good idea of what that is. The key, opening the door, the key is actually with your ego. It has a gift. It has a gold gift for you. And it's something that it's been waiting for you. And each and every one of you, it'll be slightly different because this is a general reading. Let's see if we can get any more information on that. But it's letting go of Knight of Cups. Yeah, it's working with the ego, and it's something to do with your emotionality, and it's something to do with how you transmute lower energy and emotionality. There's some way that the ego, you can work with the ego in a sort of a more spiritual way, for clarity's sake, and be able to transmute the old energy and come back to a level of transparency and a level of humility, right? And a level of vulnerability that gives you this incredible strength that you can hold for yourself as you move forward, providing for you and again solidifying this new world and this new timeline that you want. This is incredible time for you because your energy is very much focused on within, and yet there's something extremely humble and selfless about you right now because you're not in survival mode anymore, so you don't need to fight everything and everyone. You're not in survival mode, you're in thriving mode. So this is something that's really absolutely beautiful, and how you transmute energy is a little bit different because of the way that you work with the ego. You and your ego are, you've been working with your ego. You really understand it in a way that most people don't. So this is something that you could provide for others. And it's taken you a long time to be able to really understand it and dissect it. You try to transmute it. You've tried to fight it. You've tried to knock it out a couple of times. There's lots of different things that you've tried to do. So this is sort of a new level of a hierarchy of spirit for you. And also it opens doors that weren't previously opened to you, that you didn't even want open. So this is a new way of beginning for you. It's not even a new beginning. This is just a new timeline, really, a new version of self, should we call it, or activating an older version of self with more confidence. Maybe that's more accurate. But whatever it is, you're ready to come down off that tree now, and you're ready to go out into the world the way in which you want, right? The way in which you want, knowing that you hold literally, pardon the pun, all of the cards, right? So that's what we have for you, pile 3. We are sending you so much love and support for exactly who you are and where you are. And also, I'm going to link the link down below, but check out the reading just before this one, What Magic Awaits You This Holiday Season, because there's beautiful truths and gems in there too that could and probably will, without a shadow of a doubt, solidify this reading and give you a little bit extra information, because it's all about the collective at the holiday season. So if you have not checked that out, I will link the link down below. I promise you something will come up for you in one of those piles. And then, of course, we have the new podcast. That's going to be linked down below. If you have not checked that out, please do. It's absolutely wonderful. And there will be a new episode coming out this weekend too. So that will be episode 5. So you do not want to miss out on that. And of course, if you're here and you haven't subscribed, we would love it If you come join the little family of unicorns here on Unicorn Light Tarot, please hit that subscribe button if you feel as though you would like to. And of course, hit that like button and the bell icon so you never miss a reading. Right now, we're aiming for 3 readings a week up until the end of the year. Sometimes 2, mainly 3. That's what we're going for. So many different resources for you to get some extra support and beauty and wisdom, and all of them are for free. So go be you, Pal 3. Until we meet again, take care. Bye-bye.